Salute wrestling friends and welcome to the Goodbread Wrestling Channel, also known as Figure 4 TV. Now today we got a Chris Van Vliet interview that we're going to react to with Jake Hager, formerly known as Jack Swagger in the WWE. So check out the intro, and when we come back, we break this thing down.
Do you feel like there was a moment where you stopped loving wrestling?
Absolutely. I'm very jaded from my exit at AEW. I'm very proud of the stuff I did there, but at the same time, I find myself questioning right now. I wish I would have just stayed in MMA at some point. Inner Circle was one of my favorite things to do in pro wrestling. I love those guys. JAS, Daddy Magic. I just really loved working with Chris. I think he's number one on my Mount Rushmore, Chris Jericho, because he can just constantly reinvent himself, and he can not only do that, but he can see what he has around him, and he knows how to elevate us and to bring it up and make it look good. Chris Jericho is the reason why that purple hat was so over.
What do you mean?
It was his intuition. We did that backstage promo, and it was live to the crowd, and where I first said, "I like this hat," and the crowd just popped. And once he heard that pop, that's all he needed to know.
He is fighting for his life in that promo to not break character. he's looking at the camera like.
Well, I do have a way with words. I will, give me some credit, but it's a lot of you that think Chris Jericho gonna come back to WWE, and I'm gonna tell you right now, that's not possible. Maybe if Vince was still there, then Chris Jericho would definitely come back. But now that Triple H is there, he's not coming back. You see, Tony Khan might treat the other folks like that. How Jake Hager feel is not how Chris Jericho feel. Trust and believe, Chris Jericho got a spot in All Elite. So Tony Khan don't nearly come at Chris Jericho like he come at the rest of them. So don't try to put two and two together and Jericho leaving. I guarantee you Tony Khan come at Jericho with a way bigger contract than he came at Jake Hager.
Dude, I had so much fun.
Yeah, you got that purple hat over.
You know what's cool is I'm an undefeated MMA fighter, but my wrestling character at AEW was almost kind of comical. I feel.
Yeah, you were a little goofy.
Yeah, and I was allowed to be goofy because Chris would always put me in these situations where I could look tough again, but I could be funny. And if you know me, that's my real personality. I like to fuck around, bullshit, and drink scotch.
So when did you stop loving what you were doing there, or just loving wrestling in general?
It was right after we did the Vegas. Was that the Stadium Stampede? No, it was the second Blood and Guts. The second Blood and Guts we did in Vegas, and it was against Daniel Bryan and Cesaro and those guys. And then Sammy jumped off the cage. My first contract with AEW was up, and after that, we were the negotiation process was very one way, and I could tell that. Well, anyways, I always find a way to say this every day, so I think everyone should too. Say fuck Tony Khan. I could tell that he didn't want me there. He offered me a year and a half. I was like, bro, I just did Stadium Stampede twice. Don't act like Stadium Stampede didn't put AEW on the map. I was in the debut episode. I was the big spoiler, and you offer me 18 months after all that. So it was that and the way that he started running the business that it really, he wasn't a professional. After all the Punk shit that went down, the boys got together and we had a meeting, and this was the boys only, no office. All right. And we're all Sting's in there, Show, Jericho, Bryan, Mox, they're all standing at the front, kind of talking us through this shit. And lo and behold, who comes into the room storming in? Daddy's little Billionaire. And he's yelling at us, because I think it was Dax and Cash and Wheeler didn't want to come in. They didn't like the storyline, so they refused to come to TV that day. And he was like, listen, I'll put you in a 6-man 6 minutes before the show, and you're going to do it. And we're all just like, all feeling disrespected. And I still to this day wish I would have stood up and said, you know, a lot of things. But like, you just told Sting that you're going to put him in a 6-man in 6 minutes, but then you're going to honor him for his retirement. We became his little playthings. We had to wait outside his office. His storylines were very good at debuting, but he could never carry anything through. And it got to the point where I'm carrying on, but it got to the point where I couldn't tell him anything. He couldn't take criticism. He was fucking up, and we were all just having to deal with it, you know? Like, we all had blood, sweat, and tears put into that company. We were all there at the beginning. Like, we all had our careers behind us that helped build that company. And then we all had to just sit side by side and couldn't do anything because he wanted to run it the way he wanted to run it.
So you chose to resign, but it puts you in a spot where it's like, if you don't resign, what do you do with your career? Mm-hmm. Why did you decide to resign?
Yeah, because I didn't know what I was going to do next. I mean, I will say that AEW paid well. And so I resigned to give me more time to figure out what's next. We negotiated the contract a little bit longer, but the writing was on the wall. And I could see that from the way he treated me. Even when we were doing, it was me and Daddy Magic and Jeff, and we were doing that little threesome we were doing. We had a little stint against Billy Gunn and his boys, the tag team, and we did that rap off, where we went out and rapped in the ring, which is, who doesn't want to see white guys rap on television? But it's Daddy Magic, so you're gonna love it. You're gonna tune in. Right before that happened, the beat started, and all day Daddy was like, I'm gonna forget. I was like, dude, it's just a promo. Just remember it like a promo. And he turns to me and goes, I fucking forgot. And so I say the first word that starts his little lyrical conquest. And he had it from there. But, oh, man, I loved working with those guys.
When you left AEW, did you know what was next this time around?
No. I left AEW. My shoulder was banged up. I was selling my house. So, I had so much on the plate. I had just got divorced. I just stopped pro wrestling on TV pretty much. And I had to sell the home that I lived in for the last 13 years. So it was quite the fucking mountain that I had to climb. I feel good that we're on the other side of it now.
Yeah, what got you through that? That's a lot to be dealing with personally.
Tony Khan, y'all heard what he said, man. And I find it interesting that these guys, Tony's guys, they say everything that Tony need them to say while they under the umbrella. And then as soon as they get from underneath that AEW umbrella, they really start telling us what's going on in there. And his story is very, very similar to Cody's story. See, Cody ain't gonna come out and say it. Cody more of a professional than to come out and say it. But Jake Hager's story about the disrespect, Tony Khan not realizing that he's just a fan with money, and he get in there and he start talking to these professional wrestlers who put their body on the line, all sorts of crazy, with no accomplishments. You is not Vince McMahon, Tony Khan. You is not. And it's funny to see it. We done seen so many. Mark Henry went over there. The guy from what's the guy name from Adam Cole Group and the Undisputed Era? Kylo, no, not Kyle O'Reilly. What's the other guy name? Well, y'all know what I'm saying. Put it in the chat, the other guy name. Well, he went over there for a hot cup of coffee, and he ain't have nothing good to say about them. But while they there, Tony Khan is nice. And if you notice, they all say, Tony Khan is nice. Nice don't run a business, guys. You can't be nice and run a business. It's just not gonna work, yo. It's just not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Now, he said it. He said Tony Khan pulled everybody in there, and you could tell Tony Khan got his favorites, because FTR their name is always around something. You know what I mean? MJF, you know he shields for Mercedes Moné, but in my opinion, Tony Khan not the only one that fumbled Jake Hager though. Jack Swagger, he was fumbled from the start. Vince McMahon fumbled Jack Swagger, yeah. And in that same interview with Chris Van Vliet, Jake Hager speaks about that, about how John Cena buried them. John Cena wanted to bury him. John Cena did not want to put him over. So if you ask me, Vince McMahon's company, WWE, failed Jake Hager too. And I always liked Jake Hager. I thought he had a great size. He had a great look. He could have been heavyweight champion. This was around the time where we put the title on Sheamus, who got another great look for a heel. And remember, WWE messing up because heels are valuable. Heels are more valuable than the damn baby faces at times because you need the heel so the baby face could chase. That's where the money is at in wrestling. You got to have the heel. The heel should have the title longer and for more than the face. We pay and we get in tune, we get engaged with wrestling when we see the baby face, the white hot baby face chasing the bad heel, and we want to see the bad heel get beat up. And Jake Hager he came off as a great heel. But you see where Vince messed up, in my opinion, is Vince McMahon is fixated with this Olympic hero type gimmick. This Olympic gimmick is not going to work, Vince. We had our Ken Bateras, we had a Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle probably was the last great Olympic, gimmick that we have had. But Vince got to stop. We need to stop with this Olympic joint. Now we got this Americano running around here, and we see where that's going. But I find it very interesting that Tony Khan's boys, they get released, they get let go, and then they start telling the truth. But while they with Tony Khan, they capping and caping and talking about how great of a boss he is and this and that, and voila, only to tell the truth. So guys, let's go to the comment section. Let me know, do y'all want to see Jake Hager back in pro wrestling? Because he said he's retiring, and he said he's retired. But do y'all want to see Jake Hager back? And what was your opinion about Jack Swagger, his athleticism, guys? Not how they scripted him and how they wrote him. How do you feel about Jake Hager, Jack Swagger, guys? Let's go to the comment section. Like, share, and if you're new over here, you might as well subscribe, guys. I'll see you guys later on.
This is a wreck. He's moving like an uncaged animal.
No lie, he's wild in there.